Hello everybody and welcome back to M&J Games and welcome to a brand new series as this is a new Let's Play series. And before we begin, if my voice sounds a little bit different, it's, I've been dealing with a cold the past couple of days, so pardon me for that. But we are going to do the deciduous map because I did a YouTube poll on the channel and asking what was your guys' favorite park or biome or starting environment, and the majority of you guys said deciduous or alpine, with deciduous being the highest. And so we're going to customize this. And usually what I like to do is I like to have two grasses. I realized on my last park that I did, Three Towers, I didn't really like the ultimate grass choice that was chosen. But I do like having this ground rock, and instead of using two steeps, I'm just going to use one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change this to another grass, and sometimes it, excuse me, let's see, what grass was this right here? Deciduous grass, detail 2. No, it's detail 1. I think that's the right one. No, it's detail 1. There we go. Sorry, I was trying to make sure I got that right one, because here what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the kind of mud, dirt, and I'm going to choose the studio, the city tarmac. I like using the leaves, and then I need another kind of dead grass. And so usually I like using the either dead grass that's in grassland. Another good option is the dead grass right here that was already here in deciduous, but I like using the one in grassland. Um, that's just me personally. And there's a lot of options what you could do. You could go with some sand, some rock, but I don't really do too much stuff that kind of deals with that sand. So this is what I believe we are going to be dealing with in the park. And I wish you could have more options. Like, I really do wish you could choose more. Um, Maybe if in the Planko 2, that's one thing they could do. Um, but how this is going to be kind of modeled is I'm going to try to model it similar to how Nerdchacho does it, just because he's, to me, one of the best, if not the best, creator on Planko on YouTube, and just kind of seeing the content that he does and how he approaches it. I like it a lot, because on my last series what I tried to do was I tried to do a speed build, and I'm just not confident yet doing speed builds. Um, but yeah, so here what my initial plan is, just so I can kind of let y'all know. And I'm going to pull this train out a little bit, or I'll move this kind of back, because I want to put a bus stop here to where the guests kind of walk through a bus stop. And we're going to have the parking lot kind of in this general area. I don't know how large to make the parking lot yet. As you know, I like making those realistic parking lots. And it's going to have kind of a little entryway. And I'm going to model the entrance after Carrowinds. And the reason is because the first poll that I did over a coaster was a Giga coaster with a Fury 325 style. So this first episode is going to be kind of creating the model for the entrance area. We might not get done with the full entrance area. And then also creating the Giga coaster that's going to go by the entrance area, so we can get kind of that main look of the park complete. So I will see you guys on the first update. Alright guys, welcome to the first update, and as you can see, we now have ourselves a coaster. And we have a massive coaster, and so as I believe I said before, um, I definitely got a lot of inspiration from Fury 325, basically with the first half of the coaster, and I think I got this turnaround pretty darn close to the actual thing. Maybe this initial part should be a little bit higher. Um, that was a tough kind of turnaround to make, and I think I did a pretty good job on that. But yeah, this is exactly 300 feet, so it's exactly a Giga coaster. Um, excuse me. Still recovering from this cold. And, I'm not really sold on the end here. I got to kind of maybe work with that a little bit. Um, I'm not very, like I said, not necessarily loving that ending. So that might change by the time we get back to it. But the idea was having it at the back of the park here, and we won't really deck out this station or anything until later on when we get back here. But the idea is kind of like at Carrowinds, which I've never been to, but I've just looked around the park through Google Maps and stuff like that, is because it's at the back of the park, you've got the lift hill going towards the front. It creates that very nice visual from the parking lot along with really anywhere else in the park. And now one thing that I did do differently, and I didn't intentionally do this, is this portion here in real life is actually facing out towards the guest. And so it's not exact either because um, on Fury 325, you've got three kind of entryways for the park. But since we've only got the guests walking one way, I'm only doing one. And so I'm probably going to change this because this right here is probably going to be moved up a little bit. Because as you can see, it's already kind of taken over some of the space in the park. And so then I'm going to, obviously create a tunnel here. So I've just kind of dug it out at first to kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. And then for the parking lot, I haven't terrain painted it yet. And I'm going to remove these paths here. But what I was doing with these paths was trying to at least line up what I wanted. Because my idea with this and I'm still going to create this part, but this is going to be kind of like a bus stop or like a where you get picked up by taxis and Ubers and stuff like that. And so I was going to create kind of a sidewalk or some kind of border going up the side because I wanted this part here to be the terrain paint. So this would kind of be like um, this would be a separate entryway into the park because it would only be for pickup and drop offs, which I know Kings Island has that. And then you'd have the other entryway into the park somewhere here with the toll booths. And so it'd be kind of a cool view as you're entering the park, waiting in your car. You can kind of look up and see this. And I don't know how much of this I'm going to custom support, just because of piece count and stuff. I'm definitely going to do the main lift hill. I don't know if I'm going to do a spine with it because that might add a lot of extra pieces. I know that really adds the detail to the realism, so I probably will end up doing that. But I'm definitely going to custom support that lift hill, and then maybe this kind of turnaround section. So instead of having as many supports as it has, maybe custom support that area. But I don't need to custom support the whole ride. But I'll kind of look at images too and kind of see how much it's supported to kind of see obviously how much it needs. But yeah, so this is the first update, and this is taking a little bit too. It's trying to get the ride perfect and stuff. Gosh, sorry about this cough. This is annoying. Um, but I want you guys to take a look at this real quick. And like I said, this isn't the um, oh, just hold on. This isn't the final. This probably won't be the final result of it. But I want you guys to kind of see what we've been working on here. And I think it's harder when you have longer pieces to completely smooth it out. And I'm trying to build this with longer pieces just because so it takes up less on the counter. But I am happy with how it turned out. Alright, so let's go ahead and stop it there because this end part's probably going to move. But as I said, use longer pieces. Happy with how this has turned out so far. And as you can see, just kind of created here with the parking lot, created what I wanted one of the areas to look like and just kind of copied it over, and tried to give enough space in between for cars to drive by. And so, might have even had too much space, but oh well. And, trying to limit the piece count, but at the same point, trying to keep it looking nice. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do here with the walkway. Like this will have stripes, kind of like one of those walk zones or whatever it's called, where um, crosswalk. That's can't believe I was forgetting that crosswalk. And then you'll have another little crosswalk here, and I'm gonna have some kind of fencing, kind of going out along the edges and stuff like that. And then I also need to start thinking about too, where do I want some employee access roads to be? Kind of along the edges and so forth. And so it also comes down to with this park, do I want to kind of expand it out all the way over this way? And how's that going to look? So now I'm going to try to finish this layout and try to get the parking lot finished for you guys for the next update. Alright guys, welcome back to the next update. And hopefully my voice gets to is sounding a little bit better than last time. Still dealing with um, some nasal issues and voice issues. But yeah, as you can see, I did end up keeping this back layout. I do like how it works out, and as you can see, this is going to be perfect because by the time the coaster gets to the end, it's right as the other one gets to the top of the hill. So this coaster can run three trains, like Orion at Kings Island and a lot of the Giga coasters, and work perfectly fine. So I'm really stoked about that. But the main reason why why I am having this update right now, as you can see, nothing's really been changed over here, but this central area here has really come together well. And I just really want to show you guys what's happened here. Like, look at that. Oh, that's awesome. Um, and yeah, so I don't know if anybody has seen Fury 325. I'm sure most people have. If you haven't, this is a little bit more decorated with trees and stuff because there's really just a couple basic shrubs and stuff in the normal Fury 325. But I didn't want it to look too kind of sparse and stuff just because, this doesn't necessarily look natural, those kind of dirt paths. But yeah, so I really like how this has turned out so far. So let's kind of show you from the walk. And like I said, this is the last update before the final look at how the parking lot area is. And I'm going to try to get everything with the parking lot done in this episode, so we'll see. As you're coming up this entryway, you've got the coaster right there. And then I'm going to create some kind of pathing here. And I might have to do custom supports for this one area. I don't know, we'll see. Um, but I'm going to kind of try to create like a faux sidewalk going down for most of the parking lot area. And I'm already on 12%. Well, it's really about 10% because of I got to delete this path a little bit. I was just doing this to try to create like a straight line for when I make my road for buses and stuff. Um, but yeah, already a fair amount of pieces, and so it might, um, hopefully we'll be able to get everything in this park that I had planned. But I just think that looks really cool. And so when you're walking across right here, what I decided to do is I was trying to find good fencing. This normal chain link fence was too high to where it awkwardly you couldn't see like the bottom of it, right? Because I don't really like when you necessarily like here, for example. Let me see. Where's a good example? Like there, where the grass kind of hides over the fencing. I'm not a huge fan of that. Um, and so I didn't like seeing that here. And so I decided because if you look at the Google Earth, there's actually some, or the walk around view on Google Earth, there's some protective fencing to where it doesn't allow people to maybe like jump over the fence. And then so I've got this long kind of walkway, as you can see, and just great views. And like I said, I think that looks amazing. Like I'm super happy with how that part's turned out. That's my favorite part of the ride, especially the look of it. And then here, once again, if you look on Google Earth, they've got, oh, I gotta fix that glass. Okay, they've got this little viewing area where you can kind of look over and see the coaster. But it's like this instead of this fence, I'm guessing, so that they're trying to prevent people from possibly throwing or dumping stuff onto people that are on the coaster, maybe. And so I'm using this archer person as kind of a height guide to where they can see, at least look over and see. So that's really cool in my opinion. And yes, that's what I've been working on. And then also, I'm gonna possibly add some add some smoke. Um, but I created the kind of hexagonal shapes that they have in real life, and I created this extra kind of support for it, kind of going along the sides. So I'm trying to figure out if I kind of want to have smoke kind of just coming out from the ground, if I want to have smoke kind of coming from the actual individual pieces, because I did double them up in case I wanted to hide that smoke filter kind of in the wall. But yeah, so this is I'm really happy with how this has turned out. Gotta also put lights in, which is, to be honest, my two least favorite things doing in this game is putting down lights and also like doing like the benches and trash cans and stuff. Hate doing that stuff. But yeah, So I think it's coming together well. Oh, that's a good look. So as we see here, the coaster once again. Now, like I said, it's not exactly like Fury 325. There's some parts of it, even on the parts that I modeled after it, that aren't perfect. Like I talked about this turn right here, it, in theory, should actually be located on this side, um, because obviously this is turned over here, so that you can kind of see the ride facing as you're entering the park. And then this part up here too, as you go into this curve, you don't really level back out until you're about halfway down the hill. So a couple things different, but that I wasn't trying to make it exact. I was just trying to use it kind of as a model and a guide. And so this was the second update, and I will see you guys in a second when the ride is complete, or not just the ride, the area that I'm working on. Sorry, guys. When the area I'm working on is complete, I'll see you guys then. Welcome to the final update. Now, some of you might be thinking, this parking lot's not complete. And the reason is I'm still trying to figure out how I want this final area to look over here, because I'm thinking about adding a bus spot kind of there. But we have our drop off area, and I'm going to show an elevated view too. But I want to kind of go through FlipCam on what I have created here, and we're already at 16%. But I'll show you how I've already kind of grouped the 4,000 pieces that I can save at the blueprint at the end. And we've got custom supports, which we'll go look at in a little bit. But how beautiful does that coaster look now? And I didn't custom support the whole ride. I basically just did the first half, because that's going to be the half that's most visible, and that's kind of around the other areas. But now um, we have a very Disney Hollywood Studios style um, drop off area. Because if Disney, if I remember correctly, they just have numbers on the outside, but then here you've got all your signs telling you that that's where you need to wait at. And so these benches, I think I saw them modeled by, I think it's Ted07386 or Coaster Creations. I can't remember. Um, but I just put those along the edge. That kind of adds 6 pieces per bench though, so it's kind of a lot. But I think it adds that touch. And so you see we've got Lyft, Uber, Bus to City. I did put Eden Gardens. So in my theory, um, all these parks that we all create would be in the same general area. So these would be bus to different locations. Avery Forest, Canyon Valley, Isle Blanc. I think I pronounced or spelled that right, which was one of Jasmine's water parks. Three Towers, Lumen Park, and I still got to name these other ones. So if you have a park you want named on here, let me know. But yeah, so we've got 16 different stops for the buses, and so this is where the guests are going to enter from. So I kind of changed up my style and idea of how I wanted that to look, and I added these signs kind of going up, because I think it kind of gives it a cool kind of theme park feel as you're walking in. It's just the advertisements and stuff, and then this way you've got the excited the excited girl with the coaster in the background. And then here, I created a little roundabout. It's not the, it looks a lot better now that there's foliage and stuff around. It's not perfect, but I did use the coconut to kind of create that mulch-like feel to it. Um, so you come around this way, which, like I said, it's not perfect, but I am happy with it. As I was trying to figure out a good way to kind of have um, the guest area turn around, and so now we've got these right here so that cars can't drive through. And then, I mean, this is no different. We've seen that, but now we have the beauty of this coaster, which is just awesome, just fantastic. I love it. Um, so I added I extended the fencing out a little bit, but that was originally when I had the original supports here, and they kind of went out to, I believe, this spot. So that might change now. I might push that back a little bit, because I still got to kind of decide what I want this edge area to look like. So like I said, I need to figure out too how I want the paths to look. Um, but yeah, look how beautiful this is. I mean, this is amazing. I'm I'm just really happy with how this whole kind of area turned out. And then if you look up an image, I put supports basically in these spots where they correlated with the image. So that looks very, very similar to the um, actual custom supports. Oh, let's see. Trying to get a good view of the coaster coming through. Yeah, it looks awesome. Um, and then I add a couple of these patches because where it's weird how at Carrowinds where the coaster track comes close to the ground, they've got kind of dirt built around it. And then another thing that's weird too that I noticed is they don't actually have fencing all the way along the border of the park because they have all these supports actually exposed. So I might leave it that way as well and not put a fence and just put a fence up kind of over here where I kind of have the maintenance area starting. But I did add some foliage and stuff in this one. I'll probably add that over there. Um, but yeah, so this is the final result of it. And let's hop out of flip cam mode so that we can really go look at the custom supports and stuff. Yeah, so if you look here, one thing too that I'll show you guys real quick. We're at 16%, so that's a lot. But I know how to use the exploit and cheat. So the key is grouping stuff together. So I've grouped that right there is 1,400 pieces. So if I were to, I've grouped these together. That's 1,400 pieces that represents all of this area essentially. That's a lot for just this small area, but I think it adds a lot kind of to the park. Okay, and for me, I love parking lot areas. I just think it adds that realism. So I know a lot of people don't want to spend percentages on that, which I totally understand. But in my defense too, I'm going to be getting like an extra 25 to 30% in the park, so I think it's totally worth it. And then these supports. So as you can see, all of these are now grouped together. That's about 800 pieces. Um, all of these as well. And then we've got these supports over here. And then I've got this custom spine. Oh my gosh, that was so annoying to do. That's like 400 pieces. So that's 2,700. And then the thing here is, like I could group all those together. These can't be grouped together because this planter is actually a building piece. So those would have to be moved separately. But if we take these right here, this would actually get us to 4,000 pieces. So if we were to delete those, that gives us an extra 6%. So at the end of the day, I mean that's gonna help out a lot. But yeah, as we look at these supports, one thing I'm not really good at is because this is one of my first times really doing custom supports on it, is how we get to kind of connect where it looks natural to the coaster. Um, so I think like some parts are good, some parts aren't. Like this one's not the greatest, but you know you never see that unless you look up close. So I think that looks nice. And then if you look up a picture of Fury's lift hill, this is basically spot on. So I've got the spine, and to save pieces, I just did the smallest piece because that was actually the width of the track. And the interesting part though is I had to kind of level it out and make it look a little smaller here to continue it going this way, and then having it go to the ground. And it's interesting how they have all of these are kind of leaning a little bit. Like all their supports here are leaning, and then these are straight up. And so it was really kind of interesting making these and just kind of looking at how the coaster is designed. And all of their supports here are leaned. Um, say these right here also leaning. So let me know, guys, because I have custom supported up until this point really. So it wouldn't be terrible to do it the rest of the way. Um, So I want you guys to let me know. Should I, because I know it takes up pieces and stuff like that. Um, but let me know, please. Do you think I should custom support this the rest of the way? Because like I said, ultimately that won't actually be that much. Um, or do you think it's good as is? Because I know on console we have to really kind of preserve piece count where possible. Um, But yeah, even though we're at 16% already, this coaster itself, I believe, is also 6%. So we're already at 12% that we would get back at the end when using the exploit. Um, and yeah, I'm just really happy with how this has turned out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a POV of the coaster. Right, so really happy with how it turned out. I ended up keeping the second half of the coaster when I said I might change it. I just kind of added an extension here so that I can add in the transfer track down here. Because I know in real life this coaster's transfer track, or the coaster this is modeled after, is right here at the front. But the issue is it's on the other side of the park, and this portion would be facing where no guests are ever going to be. Um, so I would have had to put it here, but this would have then had to be on this side, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, really happy with how it turned out. I think there's like one area that could have been a little bit smoother, but it's really tough sometimes to completely smooth out the ride when you're using really long pieces. And I was using longer pieces to try to preserve, obviously, the piece count and stuff. Coaster chain is also, I noticed these actually go faster in real life than expected. But I kept it at 2 miles per hour because I didn't have the any sort of mid-course brake run like these new Gigas have. I just have the brakes here at the end, and so it's perfect timing to where once it gets to the brakes here at the end, then the coaster gets to the top of the hill, and so it can run 3 trains. And yeah, really happy with how it turned out. Yeah, one other thing here. I was going to put a lot of smoke in here, but Jasmine said with this being kind of like a nice garden area, smoke doesn't really make sense. So how about I do mist? So as you can see, we've got some mist panels there, and we've also got some on the wall. Try to create as much mist as possible. And so I think that's pretty cool. And one thing that I haven't done that I just realized I haven't done is put in lights, and I will definitely do that to kind of show you for the next episode. But just being perfectly clear, I really don't care much about lighting in this game, and the reason is, no, vast majority of people are never in theme parks when it's actually dark and needs lights. So lighting is not a focus of mine. Um, Except I do like putting lights on the lift hill, but obviously you need to light up your park. But that's not, if anybody's watching this like wondering, kind of expecting some really nice night lighting and stuff. I'm not saying it won't be nice, but that's not my area that I focus on and that I put as very important on the list of things. But yeah, really happy with how this turned out. Love how these supports ended up kind of working out. And so, love to get your thoughts and opinions. And as I've said before, I believe I said this in the beginning, I'm going to try to have an episode out every Monday. There's no guarantee with that because now being a teacher this second semester is really where stuff can get super busy as we have state tests and stuff in April and stuff like that. So I'm going to try as hard as I can to get an episode out every Monday. and still do spotlights and other videos and stuff. But I appreciate you guys so much for all the support on the channel, and see you guys next Monday. Look forward to hearing your thoughts.